Peace Queen. It's Melissa Crawford of thequeencode.com, and today's video is video 10 in the Queen Ascension series. So we're almost done, and I hope you've enjoyed this series as much as I have. It's all about helping you get to the next dimension in your development, in your awareness, and also in your consciousness. So this entire series we've been talking a lot about the third dimension queen, or the 3D queen, versus the fourth dimension queen, or the 4D queen. And if you want to know more about what that means, I do encourage you to go back and watch some of the other videos, especially video 1, because I'm really laying the foundation and the groundwork and going deeper into what all of this means. But basically it is really about this great awakening that's going on all over the planet. Women and men worldwide are awakening to something greater inside of them, a greater level of authenticity. Like I said, a greater level of consciousness, of awareness, of being. And so even though it may sound wonderful, because with this great awakening comes stepping into your purpose and your passions and living the life that you've always wanted to live, sounds glamorous. But at the same time, the journey can be so challenging, especially when you haven't been this way before. None of us have been this way before. It doesn't matter where you are on the path, whether you're the queen in the wilderness or if you're like me, the queen on her throne. We're all being called to another dimension, not just the next level, but just a whole different dimension and a way of being, okay? So this is a new thing being done a new way for all of us. So again, this Queen Ascension series is about giving you some clarity about what you may be going through, so that you don't feel crazy, so that you don't feel alone, but also giving you the clarity so you can make the clear distinction and decision. Are you going to continue to linger as a 3D queen, or are you going to upgrade completely into the fourth dimension and become 4D queen? Okay, so that's what this series is about. And part 10 is about something that I get questions about all the time via email, you know, or just women coming up to me at different conferences or places where I'm speaking, and they always ask me questions surrounding family. You know, many times it's a concern of, you know, Melissa, I'm changing, I'm growing, and I just don't feel supported by my family. I feel like sometimes I don't belong. Sometimes you feel like, you know, if you didn't look like your family, maybe you feel like maybe you were adopted, right? Because you feel so different. Or it could be a situation where there's just people in your family not giving you the support that you're expecting them to give you. And so that's very common. And I'll tell you how I've always dealt with it is that I've learned to have a more expanded view of what family is. And so that's the difference in part 10 between the 3D and the 4D queen. The third dimension queen is a queen who may have some issues with her blood relatives, and maybe she's going to another dimension, and maybe she's on a path that not necessarily like she's above them, but she may be more advanced in the way that she thinks and the way that she operates. And many times the 3D queen tries to take other people in the family along with her, or she allows them to hold her back. And maybe she feels a little self-conscious, or she feels bad because she goes, okay, this is my family, and I don't want to leave my family. And so therefore there's this amazing process that's going on with her. She's actually being called up to that royal rapture, but she's not going, she's not answering the call, because she's allowing blood relatives in whatever form or fashion to tie her back. She's allowing blood relatives and their inability to wake up to stifle her transformation. But the 4D queen is a woman who understands that the situations that we were born into, yes, we were born into them for a reason, but the 4D queen has a more expanded view of what family is. She's actually learned to love herself to the point where she knows that she can still have love for some people in her family, but sometimes it's good to love some people from a distance. She has a more expanded view of family to where it's not just blood relatives. I'll tell you, there are many people that I am so much closer to than people in my biological family, my blood relatives. And that's okay. It's okay if there's someone in your family that's close to you that has not yet awakened, and maybe the interaction with them all the time is causing you pain. It's okay to learn how to, number one, accept them for who they are, but say, you know, I love you, but I really got to get to this next dimension. It's calling me. I can't sacrifice my transformation for you. I love you, and I'll continue to love you, but we have to put a little distance between us. And it's amazing, because sometimes what will block a queen from actually making this kind of decision, besides guilt, is that sometimes she thinks that she'll lose something. But whenever you begin to make decisions like that, that honors your calling and honors the reason why you're here, you gain so much more. So you may feel like you've been separated from this particular relative, but then you open yourself up, again, seeing family from a more extended view. You open yourself up to a world of brothers and mothers and fathers and sisters just waiting on you. One of the most powerful scriptures in the Bible is Luke 8:21. I actually have it here, where Jesus, he's doing his work, right? The thing I love about Jesus is that Jesus was so sold out to his mission. And that's what we're being called to. You know, make no mistake, there are many masters that have walked the earth. But the thing about, you know, different masters, especially, you know, 2,000, 3,000 years ago, at the beginning of every era, there's always a great teacher. And so here's Jesus living in this time that he's totally ahead of his time, right? But at the same time, it's like the teachings and the things that he did back then are so relevant to right now. So here's Jesus, right, doing his things, totally sold out to his mission, exactly what we're being called to do right now. And he's left the blueprint, this great example. So here he is in Luke 8:21, and he's doing his work. And his disciples come to him and says, Jesus, you know, your mother and your brothers are outside wanting to speak with you. And he's doing his work, and he says, and this is actually the Message version of this scripture, Luke 8:21. He says, my mother and brothers are the ones who hear and do God's word. Obedience is thicker than blood. That is powerful. I can just, that's just powerful. Obedience is thicker than blood. That's the way a 4D queen operates. You know, I love my blood family. I absolutely do. But they don't come before what God has told me to do. They don't come before what God has purposed and ordained for me to do. So here's what I mean. You know, being a mother, in terms of, you know, many of you know that I'm pregnant and I'll be a mother pretty soon. But, you know, I see myself as a mother now in terms of nurturing my child from the womb. Being a wife, being a daughter, being a sister, all of those things are very important to me. But if I have to make a decision as to whether to stay back and help one of my relatives, and it actually cuts my transformation in a way where I'm in a box and I'm not shining my light, and I'm not being obedient to the voice of spirit, now that means I got to make some decisions for myself. That means I need to sit down and have a conversation with that person. And I know it may sound kind of strange, and it may sound selfish, and it may sound it may sound a certain way where you feel guilty, especially for women, because we're such nurturers. But the people that are meant to be in our lives, we have more than enough space for them, and we can also live our destiny and be obedient as well. So this doesn't mean cutting everything out and cutting everybody out. It just means that there's some people that are supposed to be close to you, and there's some people that you have to love from a distance. It just means that it's time to open up, and maybe your mother, your brother, your sisters were not who you wanted them to be, or maybe the relationship is not what you want it to be. Understand that out here in the world, you have a gazillion different people who are on the same path as you, who are just as obedient as you, who are in terms of consciousness vibrating at the same level as you. Those are your mothers and your brothers and sisters too. Okay? So don't worry about what you'll lose when you start to honor your divinity. Just look to what you'll gain. And in terms of your blood relatives, as you begin to honor yourself and get to that next level and you're shining your light, and true story, I can attest to this, sometimes you will be a guiding light for them and they will up level because they've seen you up level. So again, it's kind of like what Neil Donald Walsh says. A true leader is not one who says, follow me. A true leader is one who says, I'll go first. So Queen, go make your transformation. Don't worry about who's hating on you or who's blocking you or who's stopping you and your family, who's throwing shade, who's saying negative stuff, who's trying to remind you of your negative past and your family. Don't worry about that. Have compassion, love them from a distance, open yourself up, because there's so many other people out in the world that want to love you on a very close and connected level, okay? That is my message for you today. In the meantime, if you go to my website at thequeencode.com, I have a wonderful resource for you there called Reign as Queen in 2014. We are almost in the middle of this year, and it's still not too late to claim that birthright and that inheritance. This is our year. So go and get that free audio, Reign as Queen in 2014, and I'll be coming back to you next week with part 11 of the Queen Ascension series. Stay tuned.